Hey guys, it's Topical and Queer. I'm Daisy, she, her.
I'm Haz, they, he.
And I'm Sav, she, her.
And this week our question is, what role have black trans women played in liberating humankind? Obviously it's Black History Month, so we've got our lovely featured star,
Hello.
Savannah Hall.
Hi,
By the
guys.
way, hi everyone. I am here this week. I said I wasn't going to be last week, but here I am.
They're back, can't get rid of you.
Did you hear? I tried to I tried to sack you last week and have
What?
Sav instead.
You whore! No, you actual
Sav said
bitch.
a really good hi, guys.
I forgot.
I'm fuming. I'm fuming. Right, okay. This is the last ever episode featuring Daisy Jones. It's never returning.
Oh, gosh.
I'm going to be gone from here on out. So yes, we're here this week to talk about one of the most influential black trans women in history, which is Marsha P. Johnson.
Sav, is there anything you'd like to say right now?
Yeah, I was curious about the P
P.
in Marsha P. Johnson.
P stands for pay it no mind.
Yeah, which is just like a common phrase when people are chatting mess about like your life and your choices, and you're just like, pay it no mind.
That's exactly it.
I love that. I think that's a
Yeah.
really nice phrase to just be like, just
Yeah.
fuck off. You
I
don't
feel like to live the life that she lived, especially in those times, you definitely would have had to pay no mind to, as a woman, as a black woman, as a black trans woman, like people could take their pick at what they didn't like you about. Mm-hmm. So paying them no mind was pretty much the only thing that she probably could do.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, she used it as she used it sarcastically whenever she was questioned about her gender. She'd be like, pay it no mind. It's none of your business.
It's none of your business.
Essentially
You
what
don't
I say
need to
now.
know.
Like-
I've just never understood why people need to know what everyone's genitals are. Who
no,
gives a fuck?
No, who needs
I
to
don't
know?
want to know what your genitals are. I want to know who you are as a person.
Mm-hmm.
But I also find it really interesting how on Wikipedia, and you said on Newsround.
Newsround. I was just about to bring this up. There even seems to be a debate about her identity now, because on Newsround it literally said that Marsha P. Johnson is a gay man.
Which she is not.
And self-identified drag queen.
Yeah,
which she was, but that's just... So let's break this down for a second. As a gender non-conforming person myself, let's throw this out there. Obviously, language changes, language adapts. There's been studies done, obviously, regarding gender, and one in particular by Susan Stryker, who is a professor of human gender and sexuality studies at the University of Arizona, said that Marsha P. Johnson's gender expression would probably most accurately be called gender non-conforming. Obviously, Marsha P. Johnson never... well, I say obviously, as far as we know, she never identified with the term transgender, but it was not a term that was in broad use while she was alive.
No.
Like,
The literal life expectancy of black trans women was affected by the amount of hate crimes that they had to face.
it still is.
And it still is.
35 years.
Even with all the progression that there is now, it still is. But especially back then, it isn't a term that most people probably would have openly used.
Yeah. Or if they did, again, that I think the idea of gender, it's not it's a new concept.
Yeah.
In terms of...
It is Western.
It's a Western concept, but
It's
Entirely.
a new
but it
concept
is
in the
a new
West.
concept in the West.
Because there are some cultures who have been using what am I trying
this is the
gender
thing,
neutral terms
Yeah.
as long as
ages.
they've existed.
Yes.
It's just the West that are catching up
gender
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
gender is only a Western concept, because those places, not only do they use neutral terms, they don't have gender. Like, it's not a thing.
I know. I've always found it strange how it's like, you boy must wear trousers, you girl must wear skirt.
It's really odd.
I just don't understand
Yeah.
society's need to box people off and to put people into categories. Well, I do understand it. It's because they want to understand everyone and almost have, I don't want to say control.
Yeah,
but
well, it is control.
It is a way of controlling.
The gender binary came around as a way to control mainly women, also black people. It was,
that's a surprise.
I know, it was
Surprise,
Black History Month.
surprise.
Woo! Here's a bit of Black history for you. Gender was used as a weapon. Binary gender conformity was used as a weapon against black people in, I don't want to say the times of slavery, because slavery is an age-old thing and it still happens today. But we know the slavery we're on about when we say slavery.
Yeah.
It was used against people from parts of Africa that didn't have a gender binary, to be like, oh, look at these. I don't want to say it, but
Yeah.
look at these dumb people
Yeah.
who aren't as clever as us, and put ourselves in boxes, which. Because come on,
fucking irony
that it doesn't work
of
for
that
anyone.
sentiment.
I'd argue that it still is weaponized against
Yes.
black people today, but the other way, because all right, time's gone on and now we're all in these boxes, but now we can't even decide what boxes we're in for ourselves, because
Yeah.
of the amount of times that black women in particular, God, we really have like the hardest time. Black women are like masculinized, like you've made up this concept, you've put everybody in these boxes, but now the boxes are only for some people. And like you hear it all the time about like black women athletes who are like wrongly accused of I don't even know.
There were two black female athletes who were, I think they were barred from competing in the Commonwealth because their testosterone levels
Yeah.
were
Were too
supposedly
high.
too high.
Yeah.
Even though they're what the group called biological women, which I think is a load of
Yeah.
rubbish anyway.
Awful.
They're
This is the thing.
cis women.
Yeah.
But they've never, I think it's Michael Phelps has many genetic advantages to make him better at what he
It's
does.
literally not their fault that they're better than
like
everyone
it's
else.
not
Exactly.
it's not their fault.
And this is the
that they
thing, when
have
you
these
start
advantages.
when you start trying to ban essentially trans women from sports, it's always trans women as well, not trans men. People look at trans men and go, oh, you're weak because you quote unquote were a woman.
Well, there's
I
the
use
misogyny.
that term.
There's the-
That
obviously,
There's the
obviously that is not the right
Yeah.
terms to use, but but when you try and ban trans women, trans girls as well, because it happens in schools, from sports, it affects everyone, because you have to start checking people's genitals. Are you for real?
Fact, why do you need to know what's
Why do you
in
need to
someone's
know?
trousers?
And I
Yeah,
think
mind
you are
your own
right
business.
about, I mean, I know we were talking about this recently, guys, a bit of a tangent, but like we were talking about this recently when I was saying obviously about we're actors, non-binary roles are few and far between. But when I was saying about them, it always, especially on telly, less so in theatre maybe, whatever non-binary roles I see come up tend to be black AFAB non-binary performers that they're looking for. It always is, because, and this is what I think it stems from, even the industry, or just society loves to masculinize black women. Obviously these performers are not women, they are AFAB non-binary people, but from an outward perspective, society loves to masculinize black women and they love to feminize black men. Like that is something that's still,
so
I guess,
Especially-
white people love to do,
Especially
apparently.
on the black woman front, because literally the absolute lowest of the low in society's eyes, especially back in the day. But like, you literally like for some people, I mean, womanhood is very important, and to have that basically being taken away from you because of a Western beauty standard that you didn't even want to conform to, it's a lot. You're literally, people are like, right, all women, like all women look like this, and this is the beauty standard, and you have to be whatever you were assigned at birth. Don't get me wrong, but look like this. Look, it's just like, can you like make up your mind about what you want to do?
Absolutely.
Like the rules that you want to make, or even when it's like with like trans people get so cut up because they're like, you have to conform to the binary, and then people be like, okay, well, I want to be a man, or I want to be a woman, or I am a man, or I am a woman, and people like, oh, no, not that choice. Like, you basically just have to stay. You basically just have to stay with the decisions that you can't make,
what
and you can't
everyone else
control,
tells you should be,
so that we can feel comfortable, because we're still catching up with everyone else.
You don't owe anyone comfort. You don't owe anyone
It is
to make other people comfortable, and they shouldn't be uncomfortable.
So long as you're comfortable in yourself, I mean, that's a journey in itself. But so long as you get to a place where you're comfortable in itself, it doesn't matter how anyone else feels about you. Like, you don't have to make other people feel comfortable. How did we get onto this? We were talking about Marsha P. Johnson's gender expression. That was it.
Speaking of black trans women, Marsha P. Johnson.
That was a great
Yes, we were talking about gender expression. So, I mean, obviously the way we know that the way we determine that Marsha P. Johnson was a trans woman or a gender non-conforming person, I think it's most widely accepted that she was a trans woman. She started wearing dresses at the age of 5. Like, that's
just
often
goes
a giveaway.
again to show from
You know.
This is like such like an off-topic thing with like gendered clothing.
What the fuck is that
Like
about?
just on this topic, like very quickly, like obviously there are some clothes that like help people with certain body parts.
Yeah.
But nowadays,
and also,
people-
anatomically speaking, people with vaginas should wear trousers, and people with dicks should be wearing skirts.
Yeah.
Like, surely that's
like,
far
it just
more
makes so
comfortable.
much more sense.
Why do you think men wore togas? And why do you think men wear kilts? Like, it's
but like there are so many. I'm not going to go into that much of a tangent. But like, should I actually
do it?
Why not?
Go.
All right. Like, obviously, I'm a cis woman. I was about to be like, that's the only thing I've got going for me, but I'm a cis black woman, so take that as you will. But basically, I just have like a memory of being a kid and my mum taking me shopping and her telling me to pick out like one item of clothing, and I found like a Star Wars t-shirt in the boys section that I really liked, and I was about like between the ages of 8 and 10, and like my mum didn't care. She was like, alright, if you want it, then she was like, it was probably cheaper, to be honest. She was like, yeah, sure, put it in the basket. And like for the rest of the like shopping trip, like around that same shop, I was like so stressed out because I was like, oh my god, I've like taken a t-shirt from the boys section when I'm a girl and I've done something I'm not supposed to do. Like, oh my god. And then it got to when we were like meant to be paying for it, and I put it back. And like nobody told me to put it back, but it's literally just from what I'd learned growing up about like
what girls
it's just,
wear, what boys
it's so
wear.
easy to box people up. Like in
It's
my
drilled
brain,
into everyone.
Yeah, in my brain it was drilled in that because this t-shirt was under a sign that said boys, and I'm not a boy, there's no way I can put it on my body.
No.
It's just so stupid.
We were talking about this when we were talking about like androgyny as well. Like, obviously. Okay. Wow, we're really tangented. We will get back to Marsha P. Johnson at some point.
We will.
But like I was saying, obviously, I don't perceive myself as being that androgynous. I think we're talking about the term non-binary fashion, which in itself is just abhorrent. We've all seen it. Non-binary top for women. What? But
Non-binary haircuts
non-binary
for
haircuts.
women.
But we were talking about like androgyny, and like for me, I'm obviously a non-binary person, but I don't owe anyone androgyny, and I don't have to dress androgynously. But like, if I were to dress androgynously, actually, really, I think in my brain, the only thing that would mean for me is wearing a skirt. But then I was saying, even now, men are starting to wear skirts because
you can do it. You can do what you want.
you can do what you want, and
Do
also
what you want.
it's becoming cool apparently. So like, it's,
Don't, because that's a thing for another day.
topic for
But when the heteros do things, it suddenly becomes cool, and I'm
Isn't
like,
it
right, okay,
who was that singer? There's a straight, cis, white
Harry
male
Styles.
singer. Not Harry Styles. Harry Styles is great. I also don't think he's straight. But
yeah,
that's the conversation. Well, that's not a conversation we should be having because it's none of our business.
Yeah.
But
True.
And he
It's
wore a
just-
dress, and suddenly everyone was like, "Wow, what a statement!" I was like, "Oh, for God's sake!"
It's exactly the
That's not
same that
comfy.
lots of white people do to people of colour all the time.
Yes.
Like the new
We
slick
take-
back,
literally.
sticky bangs look. There's nothing you can rename. We've already done it. Sorry, we've already did it.
This whole clean girl aesthetic
clean
has
girl,
been
we've
done.
been clean.
Do you want to like just look at TLC?
Do you want- also, speaking of clean, take a look at who taught the white people how to wash. I'll leave that one. I'll leave that one there. And some, oh no, I can't say that. I can't finish the sentence I was gonna say.
Do it. Go
Yeah,
on.
some of you need that lesson again. No, no, because I'm not trying to.
We are in a performing arts school. We are all smelly.
Yeah, we. I say that.
I was going to say you can't talk right now.
I come out of Aaron's class and I smell shocking.
Don't, I just have to walk around like holding my armpits. So
No, that's why I always wear t-shirts in his class. Lol.
So shall we talk about
Marsha
on?
P. Johnson.
Should we get on to the actual question at hand? What did Marsha P. Johnson do?
shit tons.
Shit tons.
Basically, the story about the. Should we talk about Stonewall?
Yes.
Shall we talk about Stonewall? I mean, first of all, let's talk about what Stonewall is.
Yeah.
So Marsha P. Johnson, who we're not going to dead name, as
No.
Wikipedia does.
No,
Thank you very much.
Does
And we're not going to
Wikipedia
call
dead
her.
name her?
Wikipedia dead names
Right
her.
there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. No one go on Wikipedia.
No, but
Um,
also she's an August baby, which means she's elite. Continue.
Okay. So she was an American gay liberation activist, as she called it. I want my gay rights.
That was nice.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was a really good.
Can
that
you
was a really
tell
good
the training
impersonation.
we've got?
That was my verbatim.
That's
Oh,
She's actually mistakenly credited, I would say, for starting the Stonewall riots. She wasn't actually. She was actually always very open about not being there when the riots started. But however, having said that, she was very much at the forefront of them.
what became the movement.
What became the gay liberation movement, which then became Pride. It came over here. Peter Thatchell was a big name, though he's not black, so we ain't talking about it in this month.
Yeah.
But zip. So
Can we just say what? Basically, the police raided Stonewall.
the Stonewall
Like the
Inn,
Stonewall Inn. And then
which, in case we don't know, is a very, very famous gay club, which back then was underground.
Yeah, well, it had
it was
to be.
also. She most likely wouldn't have been present because she was black and trans and a woman.
And
because
you know what
actually,
they say about
gay
them
clubs
black
back then
people.
were really just for white gay men.
You know what history thought about them black people. So anyway, the police, doing what police do, raided it, and then the gays are like, you know what? No, and started fighting back. Can I just say, I feel like every historical movement, especially surrounding like black people and women, always starts with a riot. Like people actually have to physically kick off for people to
Pay attention.
And it's been happening with black people for years. It's been happening like with women for years. It happened with the gays, and I just like to point out that
Why does it have to get to the worst
Yeah.
possible
Yeah.
scenario for
It always
anyone
does.
to listen?
And can I also just throw in there as a, well, I don't even know what it is, but just an addition. I was going to say it's a positive, but it's not really. As an addition, it's always trans or gender non-conforming people of colour who are at the forefront of all of these civil rights movements,
Yeah.
human rights movements, always. Carry on.
As like another little tiny tangent, like when the BLM stuff, I won't say started because it was already a thing, but when it became a lot more popular, I guess, in 2020, people were like going on about thugs, and I just like to point out that like sometimes you got to do what you got to do. If you have to kick off, then you have to kick off, because people do not listen unless they are upset.
Yes.
Like, look at what. No.
And then they're always like, "Oh my god, why are you behaving like that?"
Yeah,
because no one else listens.
Because you've not been paying attention.
For centuries.
For the last however long.
fucking
So
long.
now we have to get a bit. Fists have to be thrown.
Yeah.
And that's what
or
happens.
bricks.
Fisticuffs.
Bricks had to be
bricks.
thrown. Which,
You know what?
let's
Go,
just put it
Sav,
out
go.
there. This is the other one. Marsha P. Johnson is always known as the black trans woman who threw the first brick. Can I just say, she was actually more of a Martin Luther
I was
King.
gonna say,
More of a
she was
Martin
more
Luther King than a
than a
Malcolm
Malcolm
X.
X. I was
She was very
not to
peaceful.
compare her to men.
Not to compare her to any men
But
ever.
she was
'cause men are
more
gross.
of a
But
pacifist.
she was more of a pacifist.
Than like a
Peaceful
radical.
protest.
She did not throw
However-
any bricks.
However, even if she bloody did,
Who cares?
Good. You know what?
Yeah.
Whoever did throw the first brick, good for
Exactly.
them, because these
Well done.
people
Good
don't
job.
listen.
However, what she did do was be at the front of the gay liberation. She was a founding member of the Gay Liberation Front. She was also a co-founder with Sylvia Rivera, who is another, what we now understand to be a trans woman. They both together co-founded the Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, or STAR,
Yes.
which is a sort of radical activist group, I suppose, seen as radical.
I was going to
at
say,
the time.
is it actually
It's not really radical,
Just
but at
want-
the time,
they
it was
want
radical.
rights. Oh my god, they're
Yeah,
radical.
I know. Can you imagine?
Well, they,
These humans want rights.
They supported gay and trans individuals who had been made homeless.
Homeless,
because-
which unfortunately happened a lot to a lot of
Still
specifically
does.
black trans women,
Surprise.
and still does, and did happen to Marsha P. Johnson, and also happened to Sylvia Rivera. But they essentially co-founded the group that then helped them,
And-
which is quite sad.
And she was nicknamed the Saint of Christopher Street,
The Saint of Christopher Street,
which is where the Stonewalling was. Because
or the
of-
mayor of Christopher
It's
Street.
like the way
is
she's
the other
been
one.
painted is so like aggressive, because black women and the way they are painted, and that never changed.
Mm-hmm.
But she was so like just helping with like the mental health side of things, and like
Yeah.
she literally nicknamed the Saint of Christopher Street because of the generosity she like shown. I feel like that's really important,
Yeah.
because she did more than just, you know.
She did a lot more. She also
More
did
than
more
just-
than helping with
Yes.
just the front of the gay liberation, what we now know as Pride, or the Stonewalling riots. She was a very huge presence in like Greenwich Village in New York City. She's from New York City.
London.
She's not from New York City, I don't think, but she lived in New York City. In fact, I know she's not from New York City. She moved there at 17.
Yes,
because
she did, because that's-
Because
let's not go
Yeah.
into it,
No.
but she had a very traumatic childhood, let's put it that way, and was eventually left and
Yeah.
moved to New York, as a lot of black trans people did, and black gay people did, black queer people did, queer people in general actually did, moved to New York. But she was also right at the forefront of Act Up Fight AIDS. She was a huge AIDS activist.
I feel like what people don't actually realize is there's a whole subgenre of misogyny that she would have had to face, even among the people that she's trying to help, and this is called misogynoir. I think I'm pronouncing it
Yeah,
right.
misogynoir.
Which is a whole genre of bias towards black women, where your race and your gender play a role in how you're treated by people, and obviously she had both. And despite you don't know, like we don't know all of the people she helped. She probably did have some people who were probably, you know, quite horrible to her.
Yeah.
And despite all of that, and despite how society viewed her even more for being a trans woman, like not just a black woman, a black trans woman, despite all of that, she still fought for all these people. Like, she didn't just fight for other black trans women. She
fought for everyone.
Fought for everyone. And that, like, people actually don't realise how harrowing it is to, like, have every single little thing about you assessed by everyone,
including the people you're fighting for. She had her and Sylvia Rivera. There are videos. There's actually a lot of video footage of the first sort of riots. I mean, they weren't that long ago.
How long ago were they?
They were
1969.
1969, yes.
There you go.
I was about to say 66, but
being
69.
a black woman in the 60s.
not great.
But yeah, there are lots of videos. There's quite a few shown in the documentary, very good documentary. It is on the Pride Against Prejudice list.
It is
for
indeed.
This month.
Watch it.
Yeah, you losers.
The Death
Sorry.
and Life.
Probably should. Actually, you know what? If you don't watch it, you're racist. Now what?
And transphobic. So
And homophobic.
get in the bin.
And homophobic.
But there are a lot of video. There's a lot of video footage out there of Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera being up, you know, talking in front of all these white gay men who they are fighting for. They're fighting for their rights as well, and they just hurl abuse at them. And it's awful. It's absolutely awful. But yeah, it's I don't know what else to say.
Oh, just to say though, when she died, obviously she was found shortly after she died, and
She was found in the Hudson River.
Yeah, and people were
with
like
blunt force trauma.
And people were like, she did that to herself. And then the case got reopened later.
Years later. Literally I think it was within the past decade.
It was recent.
And then it was
reopened.
And then
it was reclosed.
It was reclosed that it was just suicide. So that's just food for thought, but we have to wrap it up now.
All evidence is gone. We should wrap it up. So essentially, what have black trans women done to help everyone? They have done everything. They're always doing everything.
Despite everyone else's foolishness.
Yes.
So let's...
And every queer person in the world has black trans women to thank.
Yeah.
And if you see a black trans woman, send her some money.
Pay her.
Especially this month.
Yes.
But send her money anyway.
Black trans women are goddesses.
True.
Let's leave it at that.
Let's leave it at that. Thank you.
I reinforce black trans women being goddesses.
I reinforce pay it no mind.
I reinforce pay it no mind as well.
I reinforce. Yeah, everything. It's a lot.
I
reinforce being grateful for these women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Blackness. Bye, gays.
Bye, gays.